Reform immigration policy, Project 2029. A nation built by immigrants cannot turn its back on them. Yet today, millions live in fear, families torn apart, workers exploited, and dreams deferred by a system designed for exclusion, not opportunity. Immigration is not a crisis. It is the foundation of America's strength. The solution is clear: a humane pathway to citizenship. End mass detention, protect asylum seekers, and create fair, efficient processes for legal residency. No one should live in the shadows when they seek only safety and opportunity. This is not charity, it is justice. Immigrants are not strangers. They are neighbors, workers, innovators, and contributors. They build businesses, fuel economies, and enrich communities. A broken system harms not only them, but the nation as a whole. Action must follow principle. Demand an end to cruel enforcement policies. Support legislation that offers dignity, not detention. Elect leaders who see immigrants not as burdens, but as fellow Americans in the making. A just nation welcomes, not excludes. Reform immigration with compassion, because no one should be illegal for seeking a better life. Key stats. 1. Undocumented immigrant population. There are approximately 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States, many of whom have been integral to local economies and communities for decades, underscoring that a vast number of people are trapped in an outdated system that denies them basic rights. 2. Family separation crisis. During policies like zero tolerance, thousands of children were forcibly separated from their parents. One report estimated that over 2,000 children were separated at the border in 2018 alone, highlighting the profound human cost of harsh enforcement measures. 3. Economic contributions. Immigrants contribute an estimated $2 trillion annually to the U.S. GDP, demonstrating that they are not a drain on resources, but a critical driver of economic growth and innovation that fuels local and national prosperity. 4. Detention statistics. At any given time, more than 50,000 individuals are held in IC detention centers, often under inhumane conditions, emphasizing the urgent need to reform policies that criminalize immigration rather than offer humane pathways to citizenship. 5. Long-term integration. Research indicates that over 60% of undocumented immigrants have lived in the U.S. for more than a decade, evidencing deep-rooted community ties and the pressing necessity to create legal pathways that recognize their long-standing contribution and integration into American society. Leading voices. 1. American Immigration Council conducts research and advocates for fair and just immigration policies that recognize immigrants' contributions and ensure humane treatment. 2. National Immigration Law Center focuses on defending the rights of low-income immigrants through legal advocacy, policy analysis, and grassroots organizing. 3. United We Dream, the largest immigrant youth-led organization in the nation, mobilizing undocumented youth and allies to push for comprehensive reform, including pathways to citizenship. 4. Races provides free and affordable legal services for immigrants and refugees, emphasizing human rights and fair legal representation. 5. Immigrant Legal Resource Center empowers immigrant communities with legal education, advocacy, and resources, strengthening grassroots movements for immigrant rights. 10 steps. 1. Conduct a comprehensive policy audit. Utilize datasets from the Migration Policy Institute, Pew Research Center, and American Immigration Council to map all current federal, state, and local immigration laws and enforcement practices. For example, research shows that IC detain tens of thousands annually and that family separations have affected thousands of households. This audit will identify specific legal gaps, such as the lack of a humane pathway to citizenship, and provide a data-driven baseline to inform targeted reform efforts. 2. Build a multi-stakeholder coalition. Assemble a coalition that includes immigrant rights organizations, legal experts, community leaders, business groups, and academic researchers. Drawing on studies that highlight the economic and cultural contributions of immigrants, hold an inaugural summit with representatives from at least 30 organizations across key regions. This coalition will consolidate resources and amplify a unified call for reform. 3. Develop a detailed legislative agenda. Draft a legislative blueprint that outlines a humane pathway to citizenship, provisions to end mass detention, enhance protections for asylum seekers, and streamline processes for legal residency. Use benchmarks, such as reducing detention rates by 50% within 2 years and setting clear timelines for legislative review. This agenda, backed by expert testimony and evidence from studies, will serve as a concrete roadmap for lawmakers. 4. Launch a data-driven public awareness campaign. Leverage quantitative research and personal narratives to craft a compelling media strategy across social platforms, town halls, and community forums. For instance, surveys indicate that approximately 60% of Americans support comprehensive immigration reform. Set specific targets, such as reaching 1.5 million impressions and engaging diverse demographic groups, to transform abstract policy debates into relatable, human stories that galvanize public support. 5. Implement targeted lobbying efforts. Engage directly with elected officials by scheduling strategic meetings, policy briefings, and public hearings in swing districts. Present the legislative agenda alongside hard data, such as the documented impact of mass detention on community stability and personal testimonies from affected families. Aim to secure commitments from at least 20 key policymakers, using research that shows that well-organized lobbying can increase legislative support by up to 40%. 6. Mobilize grassroots and community action. Coordinate local advocacy groups to organize rallies, town hall meetings, and digital campaigns. Distribute comprehensive advocacy toolkits, featuring petition templates, social media assets, and guidelines for contacting representatives, modeled after successful immigrant rights movements. The goal is to boost local activism by 30% within the next year, ensuring that community voices drive sustained momentum for reform. 7. Establish a legal defense and rapid response team. Form a rapid response legal unit comprising at least 25 attorneys from organizations such as the ACLU and Immigration Equality. This team will be prepared to challenge discriminatory enforcement practices in federal court within 48 hours of emerging incidents. Past case studies demonstrate that swift legal intervention can prevent policy rollbacks and deter future abuses, making this team essential for protecting newly enacted reforms. 8. Implement monitoring and accountability mechanisms. Create an independent oversight board, including members from academic institutions, advocacy groups, and government watchdogs, to monitor key performance indicators like detention numbers, family separation cases, and asylum approval rates. Develop a publicly accessible dashboard, updated quarterly with data from ICE, the Department of Homeland Security, and independent research organizations. This transparency will ensure continuous accountability and enable timely adjustments to policy implementation. 9. Engage in strategic electoral politics. Identify and endorse political candidates with proven support for humane immigration policies. Organize targeted voter registration drives in immigrant communities, with a goal of registering at least 50,000 new voters in key districts before the next election cycle. Utilize data analytics from organizations like Circle to focus efforts where immigrant communities can have the greatest impact on the electoral landscape, reshaping policy priorities from the ground up. 10. Institutionalize immigration reform for long-term impact. Collaborate with universities, think tanks, and government agencies to develop policy manuals and training programs for public officials that embed immigration reforms into the fabric of national governance. Establish permanent commissions to review and update immigration policy every 2 years, ensuring that reforms adapt to changing social and economic conditions. This institutionalization will transform temporary policy wins into lasting systemic change that honors the nation's immigrant heritage.